In this episode, we talk about body fluids and fighting, pro-amateur sports, high school, college sports, playing against kids, UFC and boomerangs, athlete trash talking, playing with rocks, and fake plates.
What topics are hot in powerlifting right now? I think one of the biggest ones I keep seeing is pretty edgy is the peeing. Yeah, it's the piss stuff.
We're gonna start with the piss cast. Which is the first one,
which is edgy.
Yeah. I don't know that any of us have any revolutionary takes on it.
No, I definitely don't.
I don't really know what the current debate is. Just that.
Just like a video of Hunter, went out of her peeing on a set, and it's just like got a wide release basically to regular people, and so they're like flabbergasted.
Oh,
yeah.
It's like anytime LeBron James squats and all the powerlifters grab their pitchforks are like, you don't know.
Right.
It's the one thing they can feel superior for is they just cling on to it.
So they like give all these like non-helpful answers. You know, like she should just wear diapers, or like they set up like a tarp.
There's a few times that like, diapers probably would have helped me in certain situations.
There's hundreds of you need to see pelvic floor specialists. There's so many of those, but they don't realize it's an actual condition.
Yeah, she's different too. So like she's been dealing with that. I guess like even when she would run, it would happen to her. So she's a completely different case amongst other people. So
man, we got hot takes on the first cast. What do you think, Kyle?
I guess if you've been around, it's not that big a deal. It's like someone, their nose bleeding, like, you might want to look at why that's happening, but it's really not that big a deal. Just fucking clean it up.
It's one of those things. It's a part of the sport, just like bleeding in MMA is.
Yeah,
right. I mean, blood is definitely a little bit more nerve-wracking as far as transmission of disease and issues of that nature, and no one has a problem with that.
Yeah.
Territory of the sport.
Do they do any kind of testing before MMA matches for like blood-borne diseases?
Matters the state you're in, actually. So I had this dream when I was like 16-year-old. I wanted to be a fighter. That was like my big thing. I really wanted to be a fighter. Very dumb. Anyway, so
your dreams aren't dumb.
So I signed up for an amateur fight, but in Oregon you can't fight without headgear when you're below the age of 18. And I didn't want to fight with headgear. I thought that was fucking dumb. So I went up. So in Washington, if you're 16 and over or something to that effect back then, they let you fight without headgear. So I was signing up for a fight in Washington, but the one caveat is Washington does not make people do blood tests before they fight. So the transmission of diseases such as bloodborne diseases that can get pretty fucking rough
AIDS
are pretty rampant there. So my mom and my parents were like, why the fuck would you do this? So they talked me out of it, and I saved it for a few years and ended up kind of veering away from it. But some states do, some states don't.
Man, imagine if you did that first fight. Would you have been hooked? Would you have been a fighter?
I might have been.
Yeah.
I definitely might have been.
I couldn't imagine.
It's a rough life.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem fun.
Yeah. I did training for like a very small amount of time just to get in shape because I know people on the coast that do jiu-jitsu and stuff, and I couldn't imagine that being my life.
Oh, seriously. Yeah. It's just so little actual opportunity.
Oh, sure.
I mean, most of the MMA fighters are making $9,000, $10,000 to fight, sometimes less than that.
Did you hear Dana White? He was like,
just fight every day.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
People always say, that boxers get paid well because they do, and that like MMA fighters don't get paid shit because they do. And Dana White was like, yeah, boxers are overpaid. You're like, all right, because the UFC makes 80% of the revenue, and the fighters get 20%, and it's scaled even crazy. Like you see, like you're on pay-per-view TV and you make, like, say you make even $10,000, but like not that money isn't yours. Like it goes so many other places, and like, don't get punched in the fucking face.
I think it's funny. I bet you every young man at some point was like, yeah, I bet I could become a fighder. I think even when I was like 17, I was like watching clips. I'm like, that'd be so cool. Then I think about actually doing it. I'm like, or I'll like bump into something in the house. That would be terrible.
It seems so easy in your head. I remember when I was like really young, just thinking, just hit him with a cross, just knock his ass out. Like it seems so easy. And then you get into actual fight, you feel the adrenaline dump, and this turns into this, and it's just a shit show. And you realize, wow, this is a lot harder. Yeah, this is a lot harder than I thought it was. Wow.
Especially with like jiu-jitsu and stuff, where I had guys that were, at the time I was playing football, I was maybe 225. They were maybe, I don't know, 160, 170. And they would just do, I didn't know what they were doing. And then all of a sudden I'd be like, why am I getting choked out at this point? I don't even know what's happening. There's nothing that makes you panic more than like having your face smushed into the ground and you can't breathe. You're just like, oh my, please stop.
Yeah, I think there was a couple times where I would wrestle with like a few buddies who were actual wrestlers in high school. I'd be like, yeah, this is enough for me. Yeah. I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
That's very unpleasant.
I don't want to have my face shoved into the ground.
What got me was the, because you see wrestling and you're like, oh, whatever, kind of like you throw him, whatever. But like the first time someone put their forehead into my temple, and I was like, what are you doing? And they're like, oh no, that's like just a thing you do. I'm like, this is not for me.
Yeah, there's a reason my ear looks like a cat's asshole, and that's why.
Yeah.
That is absolutely why. It's literally from two things. It's from fighting for head position. That's exactly where they dig into temple and ear. And then second, it's from turning the corner, getting your head on the hip for a shot. But it's mainly fighting for head position. That's mainly what it is. It just destroys your fucking ear inside your head.
The first time it happened, I'm like, what is that? Like, no, that's the whole thing that we.
That's what we do all day.
That's pretty much all it. Yeah, those with head position wins.
Well, it's like funny. Even if every guy is like, yeah, I could probably do that. Even if you've never been in a fight or wrestled, they still think that because I've been with you when they come up to you and people start like jostling you a little bit. Like, do you remember when we were in New York? Or no, that was in Vegas. And that guy in the elevator was like, "Oh, what do you do, big man?" Da, da, da. This is like a little guy. I'm like, one, Brandon's huge, and two, look at his ears. Like, you don't get that any other way than people's heads mashing into you.
No, or getting hit, and that's the thing too. Like Steve-O, thought it was a good idea to ask Mike Tyson while they're in a psych ward to try to give him cauliflower ear, and that happens all the time. Try to give him cauliflower ear, yeah. And someone tried to get Chuck Liddell to do that. I'm like, just give me one good pop. They try it, nothing happens. Try it again, nothing happens. They don't understand.
Brain damage
it takes like a year straight of just consistent blows. Like, you have to unfortunately earn that shit, and it's it doesn't come in one day or one impact.
Man.
Yeah, it's unpleasant.
Wrestling is a crazy sport.
Remember,
kids at my high school would just always have MRSA and other things too. I'm like, what are you guys doing? They're like, check this out on my leg. I'm like,
there's a constant status
like,
of some kind of disease.
I shouldn't be able to poke into your leg like that.
Yeah.
Spitting into a cup, wearing a trash bag during class.
They're like, oh, we all have ringworm now. Cool.
Yeah. Well, the big one for me too is I had to actually bring syringes to school because I had to drain my ear daily. Ooh. That's the only reason this one's not that bad. Is because I did really good draining it, and then this one looks worse than it actually is just because I drained it incorrectly, so I indented in weird spots.
Can you feel it going in? Does it feel like a Does it feel like a popcorn kernel? Like
it feels terrible, and you can go
describe it in great detail.
Maybe not too great a detail, but you can easily go in fucking too deep and go through your ear.
Yeah, your brain's right there.
Damn near stab yourself in the head, and sometimes you suck on the wrong spot. But even just going in, it's like the most intense bruise ever, and you're just pushing on it as hard as you can. It's impossible to explain. Just the slightest brush cripples you to the ground with pain, and you're having to stick a needle through there multiple times a day.
Yeah, that's another reason why I just didn't want to wrestle with people.
Yeah, if I was bigger, more athletic, or had anything else going for me, I would have gone any other sport. Wrestling's for people that have nothing else.
Yeah, I had the skill set, but I just wasn't big enough to go pro in all my sports.
Yeah. I
was just too small.
That's what it was, yeah.
So I started lifting, actually. So I was like 18. I was like, well, I definitely am not good enough to go to any other place to play sports. I was like, I knew of this like semi-pro football thing. I was like, wait, if I do semi-pro, then maybe I could do college. And then maybe?
How it works.
And then I just kept lifting.
Semi-pro is the most insane sport because you buy and bring your own equipment. Like,
it's the longest yard.
So like if your helmet is like not up to code, they don't care. Mm-hmm. They don't test for anything. They just you just show up.
That's pleasant.
And it's people from all different age ranges. And there is no step forward. No one makes it anywhere. So you just you pay for to participate in it, and you just ruin your body.
Mm-hmm. So they don't. So like overseas basketball, for example, they don't make a bank, but they make decent money, from my understanding. I have a few buddies in college that went overseas. Football's not the same though.
No.
Is it not?
So the crazy thing about football abroad, so like I was being recruited by this Division III football team that went to Europe and played the best team in Europe, and this was a Division III like OK football team, and beat the shit out of them.
Really?
Yeah, like they just don't know how to play football. Like they're in a stance and they immediately stand up, and it's just like they were just like it was so simple.
Oh,
and like they don't test over there either. And these are like men in their like mid 20s or 30s. There was a dude that was like 7 feet tall, just enormous, like a bodybuilder. Did nothing because they just don't know how to play the sport. So like our Division III teams would beat any like European team out there. But the same is not necessarily true for basketball, because I know a lot of people that did that. And there's decent, like the Turkish leagues.
Yeah.
Those are actually pretty good.
Is arena football the same thing?
Yeah,
I always wondered.
So arena football, like you'll actually get guys that like were on NFL practice squads and that kind of stuff. But there's a big discrepancy up and down. It used to be bigger. I knew some people that were coaching it and tried to get me to do that, but I don't know. There's a big discrepancy in like how good those things are. Now that there's like it's not the XFL, whatever
that was arena, wasn't it?
No, the XFL was just...
Vince McMahon buy that?
Yeah. So, like, XFL's kind of back, or it was back, and then I think with COVID it went away, and then The Rock bought it.
Oh,
and they have, like, there's a different football league that's actually going on right now. So, I don't know. I think those are going to be more, like, practice squad guys, and then hopefully, like, people can come out of that, but...
Potentially doing that instead of college prior to the NFL?
Maybe. Yeah, that was the whole, like... Lonzo Ball thing about not going to college, playing abroad.
Yeah.
Could you imagine going back to your high school and playing a sport now? Like, assuming you can still have the cardio to do it. Be awesome.
That'd be awesome. It's like the question of how many 5-year-olds can you beat up?
Imagine Joe running down after a kickoff as the wedge buster. He just jumps sideways and takes everybody out.
Oh, that'd be fun. That'd be so much fun.
I am 12.
Yeah, green crayon.
In most sports, my high school, so you know Evan Turner that played for the Trailblazers? Mm-hmm. So I went to school with him. He graduated when I was a sophomore. Isaiah Thomas from the Pistons went to my school. So like a legendary basketball school. And that's like where I first found out like, oh, there's a type of person that like the 8th graders would come in from basketball camp just dunking.
Yes.
They'd be like, okay, well,
it's not good.
These are just different types of people. So yeah. So when you go to a small school and people aren't that good, you can be like, I'm the best guy on the team. I'm going to go pro. And then you see like because I would like be in the weight. That's why I got into lifting, because I would work my ass off just to try to be like decent. And then I would see guys just not try at all and still just be like unbelievably athletic and fast and strong. And just have huge muscles, like didn't lift. Like, okay, well, so that's the difference.
Those rude awakenings are so fucking rough as a young athlete. I remember I had that with, so we have a hometown UFC fighter, and unfortunately, it's an unfortunate one to have. Oh, no. It's, if you guys have ever heard of Colby Covington.
Oh, I know this,
He's same high school as me. I know his dad. I know his, went to Oregon State. I know his whole family well, and his dad's a collegiate wrestling ref, so he's refed a bunch of my matches. And it's weird because his family's super down to earth and nice, which is kind of odd. Yeah. But Colby, my goodness, is it
trying to get paid?
He is trying to get paid. To be fair, his how much money he's made has skyrocketed since his whole shtick he does. But he says some terrible things.
I've heard some of it's fake though, but maybe eventually it's like he feeds into his own the fake stuff. Because I know people that have known him because he's kind of from this area. Yeah. That were like, no, that's like not him at all.
Oh yeah, I spent so much time around, and it baffled me because I'd see him. Fuck Brazil, you're a dumb. Just say the most horrendous shit possible. Yeah, call them a bunch of filthy animals.
In Brazil.
In Brazil. And then, what's crazy is a famous fighter hit him with a boomerang after that, which I don't know how the fuck that even works.
Hit him with a boomerang? Assaulted him. Where do you even get a boomerang?
That's my first question.
That's like handed down.
But that was my first rude awakening.
We don't even know how they work. How do you shape them? That technology.
That was my first rude awakening, though, is going to OSU. He came back from the UFC just to do some practices, and I was like a sophomore, junior in high school, thought I was tough shit, and went there, and I wrestled with him, and he beat the fuck out of me. Like could have teched me 3 times in a match, and he was mean too. And Yeah, he fucked me up.
Trash talking you?
Well, here's the thing about him. If you go back and see his college wrestling matches, he's the kind of guy that would be about to text somebody, get him towards the out of bounds, easy push out, restart in the middle, and he shoves them into a crowd, shoves them into a family of kids in the stands. He was a savage.
The kids.
He gave no fucks. He'd be cussing out refs. He did a lot of unpleasant things. But point is, though, rude awakening as a young athlete, very unpleasant.
Joe Sutton's a local guy too.
He is, and I've talked to him many times as well. He's an interesting fellow.
He was at my first powerlifting meet. I was like,
what?
That's so weird. Just sitting at the scores table because him and Duffin are good friends.
Yeah.
That was the coolest, that trailer about Duffin's thing.
Yeah.
When he came on, I was like,
yeah, what?
Oh my God.
Who's next?
Yeah.
No, he is the coolest. His shit talking is legendary.
Every once in a while, I'll watch like a compilation of him going after like Vandalay.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is awesome.
It's awesome. And his shit talking with Tito Ortiz was also tremendous. And and people don't realize, people don't give him credit how good he was either.
Yeah.
Like Anderson Silva at his best, he was undisputed GOAT at the time. Chael went all 5, just short of all 5 rounds. There's 8-10 rounds, and by the 5th round, he's beaten him the whole 5th round, and with less than a minute left, he got caught in a choke. But at that point in time, huge discrepancy in score. Chael won every round. Yeah. People don't really give him credit. They just think of him as a shit talker and that alone.
Yeah, it's like he won like 24 minutes and 30 seconds in that fight, and then just got caught in the triangle, and it's just like, I mean, it's his biggest regret of his entire career. But it's great. And then even how he talks, he's the best non-WWE talker.
Oh, yeah.
Just like talk circles around people. It was so good.
Did you hear what he said when he lost? It was so good.
He's never lost it.
No. He straight up goes, well, I thought that when you tap, you lose the round. So me tapping, I thought I'd lose the 5th round, win 4 rounds, I'd come out on top. Just stone-faced, dead serious as he's saying it. Is awesome.
My favorite is like, I only know 2 ways you lose. You get knocked out or you like get choked out. He's like, so I've never lost a fight in my whole career. I'm undefeated. I just lost like a handful and just tells people, he's like, I'm undefeated. Like, I've never lost a fight.
It's funny because if you don't know like Oregon, he's always like, yeah, I'm a gangster from Westland. I was like,
the mean streets of Westland.
You guys are not like, Westland is like the very Richie rich, like gated community area. Is so every time I hear them, I'm like, it's not real. All of this is like, he is a good talker, but Westland is I don't think there's any homeless there at all. It is not. It is not. There are no mean streets.
The best anecdote he had was he had a story about Wanderlei Silva trying to feed a bus a carrot because he thought it was a horse, and people were like, oh, is that real? Like, is that real? All right.
So many people called him out in the Westland thing. He finally leaned into it. And do you remember that story he told where he goes, you guys aren't going to believe this shit. The streets are so mean.
You won't believe me.
I actually witnessed someone just drop a piece of litter on the ground. Like, he just went on in great detail about how horrendous it is with just these most simple examples. It was hilarious.
I feel like I think about that stuff, but if I started to talk like that, I would instantly start giggling.
I don't know how he doesn't break. I really don't get it.
That's why people think he means what he said, like the Wanderlei Silva. He just like, it's like a normal story. He's like, I can't believe it. He went up, he was like rubbing the bus. I didn't know what he was doing. He's like petting it. He takes a carrot out and he tries to feed it. He thought it was a horse.
Some of the best. I'll get on like compilation trains of watching him talk, and then you get on the Tito Ortiz like slurring words compilations. I'm like, it's hilarious.
It's funny. He lost the fight to Tito. I don't know how. He should have demolished him, but he still won because of the comments he made. Like, at one point, Tito goes, Chael over here, he only makes money, use his mouth. And he goes, the only person I know that uses their mouth for money is your wife. It's so bad. It's so bad. Oh, my God.
If Tito Ortiz wasn't a terrible person, I'd feel bad for him. Just with how, like, he just dances circles around him with everything that he says.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't even seem fair. Like, I think Tito should, like, have another person there to, like, whisper in his ear, like, hey, say this. And, like, all right.
Yeah, just like a lawyer. Just have something here, man. You've messed up too many times at this point.
I love watching Nick and Nate Diaz videos too. Some guys like, I don't even remember the question, but there was a reporter in the crowd that's like, don't you think it's ironic that, this and that's happening? And he goes, yeah, I sure do, and then he like pauses. He stands up and he goes to his buddy and he goes, hey, what's ironic mean? comes back, he's like, yeah, I do. It's so funny.
Oh my gosh, those two are so fucking funny.
Chael's got to be the best, though. I think Connor's talk is pretty funny, but it's not... there's something about Chael's eyes. They're like shark eyes. They don't move.
They're so special. Chael's shit talking is so special. It's just funny. It's really funny.
Yeah, he was at my first powerlifting meet. You know who else was at my first powerlifting meet? Really weird. The doctor's brother who birthed me.
What?
Yeah.
That's so random.
Yeah.
Did he recognize you by your face?
I don't know. He could have been lying, and he was just a guy there. But he said he recognized my last name. How weird is that?
Were you born here?
Super odd.
Interesting. What hospital?
I don't know.
Oh, but then how do you know?
He knew. I didn't know.
Wait, what? This guy knows way too much about it. Is he?
Yeah, he does. I don't know. He might.
How often do you run across this guy?
Never again. Never again.
Okay. That you've seen.
Just double taking at someone like,
Yeah.
I remember you from
Hey, you're so big now.
Yeah, like, that's so weird.
It was weird.
You've grown up so much.
I mean, he definitely could have been lying, but I can't remember my mom or aunt knew his last name, and he told me his last name.
That's weird. That's really weird.
It was weird.
It's way too weird. To remember, did he only? Deliver,
You know, it's
did
funny.
he only deliver?
Were you the
baby?
only one?
I don't. Yeah, mine. It's actually really funny because I've never considered how weird that was until you guys just asked me.
Yeah.
Is that weird? I was like,
Do you think?
yeah, it is weird.
He filled in for his brother that day, and that's why he remembers it so much.
Oh, yeah.
His brother's
He's like, hey, I got it. The doctor's like, hey, you got to go in. Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to start connecting some other dots in my life. I don't know if that's connected to anything else.
I'm going to enjoy seeing the red string around all the
It's going to come into my office. It's going to look like that Charlie tape map.
Oh, that's
It all makes sense.
gosh, Charlie.
Maybe we shouldn't turn this into a educational cast. It should just be
Sprinkle
everything
some
that we
in
just
sometime.
did.
Yeah.
The one I got so that surprised me was I've had a few people ask about tie-dye shirts. People really like
You love tie-dye shirts.
I love tie-dye, and a lot
I'm
of people are
starting to
asking
learn a lot about
happy.
you. You like tie-dye, and you love foraging for mushrooms.
Tie-dye, foraging for mushrooms, favorite drinks, tea,
Yeah.
a lot of weird shit.
You like fossil hunting?
I fucking
I knew it. I'm figuring it out.
love fossil.
I like the idea of fossil hunting.
Yeah.
I mean, every young boy probably likes the idea of looking for fossils too.
Yeah, and I'm one of those weirdos too, where my fiance's always giving me shit for it, but we can't go to the beach without me
Looking
having
for fossils.
pockets of random rocks. Just fucking pockets. Like I'm putting them in her backpack. She's weighed down, having
I'm the
to
same
walk
way.
it out. I'll take anything.
Yeah. I'm the same way. I was at a beach, was on vacation, so I'm like, oh, I'm just going to take my time and look around. I ended up finding this cool, like, white, hard, like, kind of long thing with, like, some serrations in it. I grabbed it. I was, like, stoked. I went and found Sarah. I'm like, dude, check out this, like, jawbone. And she's like, dude, that's like an old comb handle. And I was like, it is. It definitely was.
What do you think? It's a megalodon or
Yeah.
something? Like,
It looked like an old jaw. I was like, this is sick. It was like in this like back area in rocks. I was like, no one's ever been back here before.
that's so funny. It has a brand name on it.
Goes through trash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was carrying around some trash with me for a little while.
How do you hunt for fossils?
Well, it's
There's-
more like searching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's like fossil beds in a myriad of different places all around the world. Like Oregon has some fossil beds. So there's just places you can go. It's kind of a hot spot for fossils, and you'll find all kinds of stuff typically.
I will tell you right now, Sarah and I go on like road trips. If I pass a rock and mineral shop or a fossil shop, I
always
pull
go
over
there.
hard.
And I have an embarrassing purchase for my last trip. I bought a $75 rock.
Well, it depends on what kind of rock it is.
It was
Sounds
an
like a pretty
agate
cool rock.
shaped as a hedgehog, and
That's
I loved
pretty
it.
cool.
I thought it was really cool.
You know what I've been searching for? That's cheap, but you gotta like find the fossil shop that has it. Is dino poop. It's not
Dino
expensive.
poop.
Petrified poop.
I have never heard of that.
Get a look.
And
Didn't even
and you
know it was
just
a
take
thing.
their word for it?
So that's the other thing too, because I was wondering about that because they're like prehistoric something. I'm like, It doesn't really matter what it is as long as you believe in what it could be.
Sure.
And that's a good message for everybody.
It'd be a little unnerving if I knew that it could just be him air frying some random person's shit or something. Like it could be anything.
I gotta get into this business. You could just put anything and be like, oh, this is just
a fossil.
Yeah, it's a fossil. Yeah. And it's a femur. Why does it have a brand on it? Oh, like, whatever.
I've always wanted to go to one of those fossil beds. You kind of look for like the similar type of rock, and you like crack it open and see what's inside of it. But they're usually just those little like, I don't know what they're called.
Oh, those little crustaceans.
Yeah,
I know exactly what you're talking about. Or like, I really like thunder eggs. Those
thunder eggs are
really
awesome.
Cool. But I've never found one that's like actually, and you have to crack it. Like, oh shit, it's a cool thunder egg. I haven't had that. I've just found like actual halves or little pieces and stuff. Yeah, but thunder eggs are cool.
What's weird about you, Joe?
I don't know. This is like blowing my mind that you can actually do this.
You've never been to like a rock
fossils.
and mineral shop?
Well, I guess. But
What do you mean you guess?
I just don't.
You don't have.
Like, oh, there's like, crystals and stuff. I don't know. It just doesn't really, tickle my fancy, I guess.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I want to clarify something to save myself though. I'm not clinging on to crystals claiming healing powers. I'm not one of those one of those people. I want to be very clear there.
You're not the guy like, what was the video where he's like swinging a crystal to figure out which Amazon Fire Stick to buy?
Gosh. Yeah, someone used amethysts for headaches. I'm like, what?
I'm gonna start doing that for my clients' training. Be like, squat or deadlift, hands or chains. Like, so what's your process? You're like, it's more intellectual than I can describe.
There's an exercise selection question. You can answer that if you want. Just describe that process.
That does bring up, like, if you just randomly gave someone a program, would it still work? How valuable are our jobs?
They're
Really?
valuable. They're very valuable. Steven, you have to cut that out.
Because it would just if you did that and it worked, like, oh no.
If you flipped a coin and every time it kind of worked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, all right.
That would be depressing.
No, we're important. We're very important.
If any of this interests you, let me know. I don't know what the fuck these were. They're Arizona green tea fruit snacks.
There's so many
I've
layers to that.
I've never even heard of that. Never heard of this either. Gummy Skittles.
Oh, I got those the other day. They're not too bad.
Sour gummy Skittles. Caffeine chocolate things. Warheads.
Man, where did you get all this?
Interesting story.
A secret gas station that has these.
A secret gas station.
Yeah, I got a gas station guy now. He always asks me exercise advice, and I avoid him like the plague now.
Interesting thing about the Skittles gummies. I saw a video that DK Metcalf eats he has one meal a day where he eats, I think it's like a ton of meat or something like that, and then 4 bags of these.
Oh my gosh.
And that's all he eats. And it's at nighttime. And then gets up and then just...
That just proves you cannot
just
be average and just work really hard. You just have to be that type of person.
It made me so mad. Because people are going to be like, oh, well, I'm just going to do that. Just eat sugar and meats.
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to know when powerlifting changed from putting mayonnaise on your pizzas to getting bigger to eating Sour Patch Kids during your rest periods. Because that's a definite shift in the type of person that's powerlifting.
Yeah.
I'm a more mayonnaise on pizza kind of guy. Olive oil in the protein shakes.
I think that's just the geared to raw,
If you want to get stronger, you got to get huge.
It's so funny too, because one of the first conversations I ever had with Andre, I showed up to the gym and I was like, oh yeah, I'm trying to get bigger to $170, and he goes, just put olive oil on everything. You just thought it was like the secret.
That's
so
the time
common.
of the gym is what we all did.
Yeah, 10 years ago or so.
Well, that goes back to the semi-intellectual training programs of the crystals. We all used to do stuff like that and still made progress.
Yeah.
This is true.
There's a lot of not good practices that were being done.
I just remember this the other day. I used to count my protein, so I would want to get at least 300 to 320 grams of protein, but I'd only count the meat that I ate.
What?
So I'd probably eat 450 grams of protein.
I think everybody did that.
Yeah.
I definitely did too.
I was like, I don't know why I'm not God, it just seems like so much protein to eat. It was.
You know what's really
Couldn't count
funny
anything
is
else.
the time that I was the most dedicated to nutrition and recovery was the time that my training organization was the absolute worst.
Oh.
Like, I don't know if you guys ever went through this phase of like thinking that you needed protein every 4 hours. Set like 2 alarms at night to wake up and go drink my protein shake. Like,
I used to have a clock every 2 hours when I was trying to gain weight, and I had to eat every 2 hours.
Yeah.
And at nighttime, I would usually just wake up and eat ice cream and drink milk.
Yeah.
I think I was very influenced by the old Animal Pack commercials. It's like, sacrifice your family for this.
Yeah.
Be unhappy.
When I first started,
Somehow it makes you happy.
I did 8 meals a day, and that crushed me. That was pretty fucking terrible. Didn't wake up in the middle of the night, but 8 meals a day is pretty ridiculous.
And my mistake too, I would just, because everyone said chicken and rice, so I would just eat chicken breast and rice.
Yeah.
And then I
I
was
did that bloat.
Yeah, and I followed this diet, and they're like, and I was like, oh, there's like fat. Like, I wonder how much fat. And I'm like, oh. So I just started putting in just like a little bit of olive oil. Like, oh my god, I'm gaining weight and making progress. Because I wasn't eating I was eating like fucking like 1,000 grams of carbs, like 450 grams of protein, and like 40 grams of fat.
Yeah.
Just like
there's so many people who think that too. Like, I want to gain muscle but not fat, so I'm only gonna eat chicken and rice, or so something to that effect. It's like, that's not how it works. Yeah, and then they can't get into a surplus or just bloating all the time, having 3 times more fiber than they need. Yeah. It's crazy. Sometimes just suggesting, dude, have a pizza every once in a while, man. Like, just let yourself have something else, and things go really well from there.
Yeah. I have a theory about that, about like, especially with like Stan Efferding's diet, the clean one, because Brian Shaw and Thor both did it, the vertical diet. And Brian Shaw said that he didn't do very well on it, that he felt flat all the time. And Thor said it was great. I think it's because Thor has cheat meals. Because you'll see every once in a while he'll have like pizza and something. And Brian's so dedicated that he probably does. He only ate meat and rice. Didn't have the variety. And I think that's what ended up fucking him up.
Well, that's what first turned me on to that, because I had the same exact issue. I was like the most committed I've ever been to nutrition. Like I said, like 8 meals a day, but all very clean, like only chicken, rice, broccoli, stuff like that. And then I finally saw something from Lane Norton saying like, and I just had this crazy bloat all the fucking time. My rice was never jasmine, always brown rice. Didn't know what was wrong with me, and it just turned out I was eating 3 times more fiber than I needed, and just really suffering because of it. And I finally saw something from Lane Norton saying how he's helped so many athletes just by saying, hey, have a pizza every once in a while. Have a cheat meal basically daily if you're dealing with this stuff. And by replacing your calories with more stuff, it's a little more junk-like, I guess it could be how it's described. It really does help with things like that. So that's a good point. I've seen a lot of athletes run into that.
Would you ever want to become famous, have a very nice income, not have to work, but you have to eat raw cow testicles every couple of days and broadcast it?
Oh,
Rocky Mountain Roosters?
Like that.
Rocky Mountain.
No, raw, like that
raw?
carnivore MD guy.
Would you do it?
No.
Your ideal lifestyle can follow it.
So this dude just like shovels his stuff down, and he had GSP on there, and he tried the testicle and just like immediately was like,
Of course.
then like spit it out.
I don't know how you can eat that raw. I really don't.
Would you?
I don't think I could. I don't think I physically could. If you let me cook it, I'm game. But raw,
So you would never be the liver king.
I would never be a liver king, no.
You also like, you never really see him eat the stuff. And someone was like, why don't you eat it? And he goes like, I eat too fast for you. I'm like, okay.
I low-key like the liver king.
Have you seen the Bliver King?
No.
That's hilarious. Look at the Bliver King. He's the black liver king. And he just makes videos shitting on the liver king. It's so funny.
I've seen a few excerpts. I didn't know it was liver king. I've seen that. That guy's hilarious.
Yeah, it's so good.
That's super funny.
He's like, I'm about to take this ice bath. He like dumps a bunch of ice into it, and it like immediately goes away. And they just show the mirror, and there's like steam in the mirror.
What did he start with? Hey, tribals? What does he call them?
Ancestrals? No, tribals? Something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
It's so funny.
Yeah.
I think everything he says is pretty terrible, but the idea of calling yourself the liver king is hilarious.
I honestly thought it was satirical when I first saw it.
Yeah. Top 10 best nicknames of all time. The
It is
Liver King.
good. It is really good.
He has like actual good info, but there's like kernels of it, but like bullshit. Like he said, you have to get sunlight because it's good for you. Like, hey, yeah, obviously sunlight's good for you. But he then said that he doesn't brush his teeth.
would
like
you?
shower because he gets sunlight.
Yeah, why would you? Just keep your mouth open.
Exactly.
Think about it. Anytime you guys are outside, you never just have your mouth open. You guys need to start doing that.
Yeah. The best is his video.
Radiation is the best toothpaste.
Going around because you're supposed to connect to nature by like touching it. And his thing is like people think you can't connect in New York, and it's just a compilation of him going connect around New York and like a little like square with grass in the middle of the city. It's so dumb.
I love that. It's so funny though.
Yeah.
Well, there's a couple of guys out there like real fitnessy kind of guys that believe in sunning your butthole.
Oh yeah.
What?
Yeah.
I didn't know it was a
That's where you
thing.
get it. That's where you get all the good stuff.
Yeah.
He also, Liver King, if you notice, I've like some of his lifting videos, he puts 10s and 25 bumpers in between his 45s.
Oh.
Yeah, that's a classic trick. That's a classic trick.
Dude. And they're kind like they're like just this much thinner. And I'm like,
You don't
I
even
know
need
what
to
you're
do that.
doing.
Fake plates are like very realistic.
Oh, yeah.
Like we were at that's actually funny. They probably just did it for photo shoots, but we were at Elite FTS like years ago during the Arnold, and we came across their like stash of fake weights, and they like cling. They're like they look like metal. It's weird, but they're like 5 pounds.
I'm going to put one in my hand.
Yeah, I want to feel one of them because I've seen them. They look legit. I mean, obviously they're mostly for photo shoots, so they you don't
They
have
could
someone.
just be for your new Instagram.
All right, yeah. Ideally, you wouldn't have someone like right out of the contest
The
do a
road
photo
to
shoot.
an 800-pound squat starts with fake plates.
Yeah.
I've heard there's even like crazier ones where it's like they make fake plates that 45 is actually 25, so that there's like you can see bend in the bar and stuff, and you can see that there's.
That's
like,
the only
and they
real way
replace
to tell
some
is
of
if the
them.
bar's bending or not.
Yeah. Some people are smart and go fake plate, and then all the way at the end too, just like the clips or other things people do.
That's what people say that Daniel Samadi guy's doing with the bench. Have you seen that?
Who's that?
The guy that benched 8 something
Oh dear.
raw.
Yeah,
But
probably.
like the plates. They're Eleco, but they say Alexo. So there's like an X where the K is. And
Just so
like,
they don't get sued.
yeah, there's other videos, and he constantly posts stuff about him selling knockoff supplements and stuff. So they're like knockoff plates that someone made that are calibrated, but like they don't have the ring, and they're not actually calibrated.
They're just calibrated 10 pounds lighter than
I guess.
It's not calibrated.
Yeah, and but there's like Eleco plates in his. People have seen Eleco plates in his gym. I don't know if it's fake or not.
It's conspiracy.
But it's kind of weird. And the guy, the spotter shakes the bar beforehand to show that it's real.
Oh,
I guess. Yeah. I don't know.
That's not much validation.
Put 500 pounds on the bar, you could shake it pretty well.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't know, because there's a whole can of. It's like open powerlifting. Like he's benched 800 multiplies, like his best, and then he just benched it raw.
Doesn't seem real.
But I don't know.
Weird.
He also, like, he's deadlifting now, and he's deadlifting like 550, and it's pretty hard. So it's pretty cool if you can out.
We should get my
bench and
doctor's
deadlift.
brother to investigate this.
Exactly.
Show up and be like, don't you remember me? Probably with Brandon snacks. We'll come back next time.
I'll have to come back next time.
I don't know.
I want Bean Boozled.
All right. So you guys have to close it out, and then I will also give you the notes I've been taking the entire time on how to intro it. And we'll put the intro. We'll film the intro now. We'll put it at the beginning.
I was just about to ask about Bradley Martin. I want to ask, who has the most fake plate accusations, you think?
Chris Duffin.
I think, from my experience, it's probably Bradley Martin.
I said that before. I said
Castleberry.
accusations.
No, I don't mean Bradley Martin. My bad. Brad Castle. That's what I meant. That's what the guy that always shows his butt crack. Yeah, that guy. Yeah.
Duffin is up there for sure.
He's definitely up there. Yeah.
The best one was when he wears the hip things. I told Duffin this the other day that I saw someone say, "Why doesn't he just wear a single ply suit?" Because he has the hip.
Oh
things.
my god.
Do you not understand how single ply? Okay.
So like the BFR band or the stuff he used. Oh dear. That's,
And the fact that he didn't do it in competition means it's just not, like whatever.
Yeah.
I digress. Well, I guess we're gonna wrap it up here. How do you want to wrap it up?
That's it.
That's it.
Just fade to black from
The end.
What's the name of the podcast?
I was just about to ask that.
The official Chris Duffin podcast. The official Kabuki Strength podcast, not featuring Chris Duffin.
The Sorry We're Not Chris Duffin podcast.
Oh, that'd be good.
The how we intro all seminars. Ronnie Coleman supplements.
It's a Ronnie Coleman podcast. Just him in the back. Just wait to see until he, and then maybe we have him on here. That'd be incredible.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, I bet we could get him on for a cameo.
Yeah.
I bet.
Like, hey, $100, you gotta wish Chris Duffin a happy birthday.
It made me laugh so hard when Duff and his wife did the Tiger King people birthday wish. You remember that? What?
No.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, they hired the people from Tiger King to do a happy birthday wish.
From prison?
No, fucking, what's
Carol.
the... No, not even. The guy that took all the money from Joe and stole a zoo from him. The dirty guy with the wife.
Man,
Yeah.
if it's not Joe Exotic, I don't want it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind some Carol.
Did you see
but, yeah.
Rudy Giuliani joined in his video? He's just swinging a golf club back and forth. He's like, "Hey, if you ever want to talk about golf," and he just swinging this thing the whole time. It's so weird. Want to talk about golf or birthdays or